Good afternoon, YouTube. It's Veteran Mountain Man again. And I was over wandering the Young Turks network on YouTube and noticed that they had posted a video created by one of their viewers that was an advertisement for the Justice Democrats. And I had first heard about the Justice Democrats when I heard about them on a Sargon of Akkad This Week in Stupid video. And I finally decided maybe it's time to go check these people out. Now, I'll admit, I'm not likely to agree with any Democratic Party platform, and since the Justice Democrats are a break-off from the Democratic Party, I'm not likely to like what I see in them because I think that most of the Democratic Party has made a hard shift towards cultural Marxism. But let's go over their platform point by point and see where the common ground is for this old 1776 constitutionalist. So, first point right out of the gate, we will pass a constitutional amendment to put an end to Washington corruption and bring about electoral reform. Now that sounds really good until you get into the meat and potatoes. So they want to force an Article 5 convention to remove private donations to politicians, to remove political donations from companies, and to abolish all super PACs. They also want to eliminate gerrymandering for partisan gain, and all provisions of the Voting Rights Act should be reinstated. Well, as far as I know, none of them have been removed. They also want to do ranked choice voting, which should implement the ability for smaller parties. Well, the ranked system actually creates gerrymandered elections. If you're in an area that's heavily Democratic, you'll have two Democratic candidates on the ticket for the election. If you're in an area that's primarily Republican, you will have two Republicans on the ticket, instead of having a Republican and a Democrat, or having a Republican, a Democrat, and a Green Party, or having a Republican and a 1776, and a Democrat, and a Justice Democrat. So I think their first statement is completely out in left field. Let's go to the second one. The second one is re-regulate Wall Street and hold white-collar criminals accountable. Now, I agree with the white-collar criminals, but they want to bring back Glass-Steagall banking and re-regulate Wall Street to prevent another crash. And they talk about the subprime mortgages meltdown. Well, the subprime mortgage meltdown occurred because of President Bill Clinton, a Democrat, from 1994 to 2000, 1992 to 2000, who removed the qualifications for getting a mortgage through Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. He removed credit qualifications, which in turn created subprime mortgages to get these people into mortgages as per the federal law that they had to follow, which in turn created the crash, because when you lend to people who have lousy credit, they end up defaulting. Now, number 3, end billionaire and corporate tax dodging. Well, the last I checked, billionaires and corporations paid taxes. In fact, they pay almost as much in taxes as my middle-class family does. And the poor in this country pay negative 109% income tax, was the last number I saw from last year, from the Department of Budget and Taxation from the federal government. Now they want to defend free speech. That's admirable. I like that. Oppose bigotry, and here we go back into the social justice warrior and cultural Marxism concept. They want to end discrimination in all forms and speak out against racism, sexism, xenophobia, and all forms of bigotry. Make all Americans equal is not asking for special privileges. It's asking for rule of law and justice of equality as outlined in the Constitution. Now, if they actually stick to constitutionalism on that, I can support it. If they do not, then they have just become the Democrats with a new name. Oh, wait, no, never mind. They are the Democrats with a new name, because the next three are make the minimum wage a living wage and tie it to inflation, ensure universal health care is a right, and ensure universal education is a right. These three concepts would have to require a complete change of the constitutional system and would have to force us either into a communistic country or a democratic socialist country, all of which would require extreme tax hikes to enact. And I'm not talking in tax hikes in the wealthiest 1% and 1/10 of 1%. I am talking taxes like in Denmark. Please see my Socialism in Denmark and my German taxation rates podcasts to discuss the types of tax rates that you would need in order to implement these three requests. Now, the next one is end of unnecessary wars and nation building. The United States maintains 800 military bases worldwide at a cost of $100 billion a year. Yeah, you know, a lot of those bases are actually leased, and we shut down most of them in Germany. All of the ones in France are now gone, except for the one watching over our fallen soldiers' cemetery at the beaches of Normandy. Most of the ones in the Mediterranean are gone. We don't have the one in Greece anymore. We don't have the three in Poland anymore. I don't think these people actually understand what's going on with the military. In the failed war on drugs, the goal of legalization, taxation, and regulation, prohibition only makes drug cartels more powerful and increases crimes, makes drugs more dangerous due to lack of enforcement of safety standards. What you put in your body is your own business in your own right. A free society should allow individuals to make their own choices with their own bodies. While most users are recreational and moderate, rehabilitation and treatment should be provided for those struggling with addiction. Here's the problem I have with this. The second you make it my taxes paying for your health care, and then you say, but my body is my choice, you've just contradicted yourself. If you're going to make me pay for your health care and then say you can take heroin, well, that means that you need more tax money out of my pocket to pay when your body starts to fail because you decided to take the fucking heroin. Excuse my language. And that means you taking the heroin is my problem. So if you want socialized medicine, but you also want drug legalization, you can't have both. Now, if you want to legalize drugs, cool. But you don't get any money from me when you get sick and die. Because I'm not paying for your drug habit and for your medical expenses, because that's what it would end up being. Create the New Deal. Okay, here goes more cultural Marxism. They want an infrastructure that gets they want new infrastructure bills to create the world's #1 infrastructure. Create the new renewable energy revolution. Well, let me give you a bit of advice here, people. Renewable energies only work if they become cheap enough and effective enough to actually replace consistent power, base load power. Now, I like the idea of renewable energies. I really do. But you're not going to get them fast enough and efficient enough and capable of maintaining base load if all you do is subsidize them. The only way to create a better, faster, cheaper product is through capitalism, through a free market exchange. And until you back off and let the free market build the energy revolution, you're not going to get it. They want to block trade deals like the TPP and oppose outsourcing that will further damage the middle class. I agree, the trade deals that we've got are crap. We need to renegotiate them. We need to renegotiate them heavily. We also need to end H-1B visas. And we need to make sure that countries that we do negotiate trade deals with, that the trade deals are equitable. Because it is not a bad thing to buy and sell across international borders. It is a good thing to buy and sell across international borders where both sides trade at the same level. And if we're being taxed selling to Mexico, but Mexico is not being taxed selling to us, that's just a bad deal. Now, they want to end constitutionary overreaches. Oh, gosh. No longer sell arms to human rights violators. I'm perfectly on board with that. If we are selling weapons to people who violate human rights commissions, we need to stop that. That's bad on us as a country. Bad, bad America. Defend and protect women's rights. Well, now you were talking about egalitarianism earlier in the set here, and now you're talking about defending women's rights. So which is it? Are women special or are women equal? If they're equal, then fuck all and quit trying to make them special. If they're special, then you can't have equality. It's an either or, people. It's not, we can have our cake and eat it too. Ensure paid vacation, sick time, family leave, and child care. Well, this is going to kill the economy right here because this is going to make it so expensive to have employees, particularly female employees, that no woman is going to be able to work in the economy. Okay? Because you're talking about child care and sick leave. You're going to kill the economy. Now, protect Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. I can understand those. Implement comprehensive immigration reform. We won't give an inch in our opposition to Trump's outrageous proposals. Ideas like total and complete shutdown of Muslim immigrants. Okay, they don't want to stop immigration and figure it out. They want to open the borders. So their idea of immigration reform is open borders and globalism. They want to enact police reform by federalizing the police, which is insanity and, once again, cultural Marxism. They want to combat homelessness, talking about 57,000 veterans are homeless out of 600 million Americans that are homeless. Well, let's talk about this, Buttercup. 600,000 Americans are homeless. There are over 360 million people in the United States. So, at 600,000 homeless, that's less than 1%. We have combated homelessness. We don't have a homelessness epidemic. Less than 1% of our population is homeless. What we have is we have some serious issues with people who are on the streets. Primarily people who are addicted to drugs, who can't get help because they can't afford it. People with mental disabilities that are on the streets because they aren't in facilities and don't have family to take care of them. And we can't institutionalize them like we did in the 50s and 60s. And we have some people who are down on their luck. You know what? The people that are down on their luck, if they go to a program such as the Union Gospel Mission or the Salvation Army or Outside in Portland for people under the age of 24 or things of that nature, they get off the streets almost immediately. They can be off the streets in 6 months. As for our 57,000 veterans that are on the streets, let me tell you something. I'm a veteran. If I walked into the VA building and said I'm a veteran and I'm homeless, they would immediately get me off the streets. I would be off the streets in 2 to 3 months. Why? Because I'm not on drugs and I'm not on alcohol. And as long as you're off drugs and off alcohol and you don't have a bad conduct discharge, the Veterans Affairs Program will pull you off the streets in a heartbeat. And I've helped other veterans do it too. Okay? So let's be truthful about that. Next one, enact common sense gun regulations. Well, right there, they just went outside the wire so far that I will never work with them. They talk about 92% of Americans wanting expanded background checks until you explain to them what that is. 54% want assault weapons ban. Yeah, they want bans on automatic weapons, which are already banned, you idiots. 54% want high-capacity magazine bans because most of them don't understand what they are. These numbers are fallacious and have been rebutted by many other people. The next one is abolish the death penalty. Well, you know what? The death penalty is here to stay, people. So it looks like right here, the Justice Democrats are no different than the Democratic Party. There is no difference. So if you're arguing for the Justice Democrats over the Democratic Party, you need to wake up and open your eyes, because you're arguing for the exact same freaking thing. The only difference is the Democratic Party and the Justice Democrats. The Justice Democrats seem to be a little more communist, which makes them a little more social justice warrior. Well, I want to thank you all for joining me again today. I hope you enjoyed this deconstruction. I'm going to include a link to the TYT advertisement for the Justice Democrats, along with a link to the Justice Democrats platform in my description below, so that you can read it for yourself and see I was not misrepresenting a single word. Thank you all again, and have a great day.